Anyway, let's reset, Pete.
All right.
We've got another big heat here. It's a fantastic clash between Julian Wilson and Sebastian Zietz, two of the most exciting surfers on the CT, and Sebastian getting things started nice and early here. And a beautiful looking wall stretching out. Missed that first section, still chasing it through the second, but now the wave slows up and Sebastian's able to round out that turn. Again, just banking off that open face.
Whoa.
And really the best turn coming on the finish there. This is a replay of that final at Margaret River last season. Let's see if Julian changes up his approach and just dirties up his surfing a bit. Here he goes. Wow. A monster turn to get things started here, and belts it a second time and throws everything into the third maneuver but can't ride out. But the strength of those first two turns should see that score go pretty big.
Well, what a start. I mean, completely different look and feel comparatively to what we saw from Mick and Kelly. Beautiful wave there from Sebastian Zietz.
And the title conversation can continue with this man on screen, Julian Wilson. Everyone has him pegged as a threat, so well-rounded, can get it done at each stop. But he's actually carrying some pretty poor results from the first two events, a 13th on the Gold Coast, a 9th place finish at Margaret's.
Agreed, and that's one of those things, again, we just touched on it, being consistently in that quarterfinals throughout the entire season. Yeah, there's the ability to have a hiccup or two.
Bit of action out here, some swell lines approaching, 23 minutes to go. Julian Wilson goes this first wave, had a 6.67 on his last ride. Let's see what he does here. This wall's starting to stand up. And he's going to need something big on the inside. He's going to take to the air for us. A huge attempt, almost planted that thing, was over his board. Everything looked right, but the landing went wrong.
Also, so solid in the air. The tide now moving the other direction. You start to see the outside section get these slower moments. But it does stand up on the inside. Carries a ton of speed and then nose picks it, lands. And a lot of the time he's able to rotate out of that with ease. This is the slow-mo here from that first section. Again, it slows up, so this isn't going to be a super dynamic turn, but great technique. And when you have those slower sections, you're able to kind of ricochet off the whitewater there, which he's done. Carries the speed now, and it starts to turn at him, and that's what he saw in this wave. As it moves down the line, it's going to start to steepen up and carry that energy, and it wedges at him. And this is the kinds of sections you want to see for errors. He is the best at getting that foot directly to the nose, and he does it so quickly. You see it just right when he pops it, that nose or foot is all the way right to the top. Waxes it.
Love how much he whips that air reverse, but unsuccessful, a 4.83. Julian's in front. Here's a replay of Sebastian Zietz 8. I just wanted to get another look at this, Pete, because all the points really came on the last two turns. Wasn't much before it.
Good flow. This move, though, is definitely strong, and I think that last impression, when you start to take a look at it, that last impression is left with you. And this was really right in the beginning of the heat.
Not much on the outside, though, was there?
No, there wasn't. A lot of it was top to bottom, but he never really got an opportunity to really lay into any turn. This section looked good.
Back to live action now. Sebastian on a good-sized wave. And he tries to go for one of those trademark frontside grab rail calves that he used to good effect against Julian in the final over at Margaret River last year. But on that occasion, he goes down, and Julian, he's starting to power his way to the takeoff zone. Sebastian trying to lock horns here with Julian in a paddle battle. Julian should get priority, though.
Yeah, it would. Even if he was a little bit behind, he would probably still retain it.
So the boys burning some energy here.
They've already given it to him, actually.
Yeah, priority going to Julian Wilson. Here we go. Sebastian on a smaller insider. Just trying to apply some pressure here, get himself a lead. Wow. Unloading on that section. Only needs a 3.5 to get into the lead. Here we go. beautiful conditions continue to come our way here on Easter Sunday, and Wilson has a big open face in front of him, but he's going to climb the roof, plants that floater, and now starts to unload and swing that board through a couple of huge turns. So the last wave, or the previous ride I should say, a 6.67 for 2 turns. That one had some solid hits. There was 3 of them. We could probably expect a little bit more as Sebastian chases Julian down the line here. He's going to kick out. This one's shutting down.
So again, we've been seeing all day long those bigger set waves paying off. That was a bigger set than we've seen. I mean, we didn't even see a wave that size in the last heat. Completed the ride, did everything there. So again, the C carries the high line to start. Big float, free falls down, keeps the speed, gets around the section. Beautiful snap, and then a long arc to finish. Held his rail all the way through, a little skizzle, but held it together. Again, beautiful light, look at that. Just gorgeous conditions. You see, swizzles up to the lip just to kind of time it so that he could ride the lip line. Dangerous by landing with the lip line, or with the lip at the same time at the bottom of the wave, but no worries there. A good variety here too, because that snap way up high in the lip in that pocket, and then here draws it all the way out and around. Again, he got the board flattened out slightly right there, but he kept it together somehow. You see, when you're on rail and you go over a rib and the board flattens out, that's when you get that drift. That's when the board wants to slide out from under you. You know, to have great balance to be able to negotiate that. Look at the score.
A 9.37 for Julian Wilson. Kept that board in the water, recovered well on that final move, as you said. Kind of hit a lump out there. It is really clean at the moment, but we saw Fanning hit a couple of bumps as well, and it kind of threw him off at times. But that is a huge score, a 9.37. Sebastian Zietz now chasing an 8.05.
Kind of crazy when you have such an anticipated heat like we had between Kelly and Mick. Get back to that.
So Sebastian starts this wave off well, just pacing himself, fading, so he can get nice and tight in the pocket there, and he drifts that tail. So he's fighting hard here, mixing it up with a layback jam, climbing the roof, but just got a little disconnected. Behind him, Julian Wilson, another opportunity. Trying to get rid of a 6.67 here. Nice speed float to get out in front of this section. And he adjusts so he can time it perfectly on his approach to the lip there. 14 minutes to go. Wilson trying to get rid of a 6.67. Sebastian Zietz.
Take a look here at this exciting wave for Seabass. There was a pretty mean turn in the middle of this. Mean, I mean it good. That one there, and then the layback. Very strong, those two moves. And then just there, needed to complete that ride. We would have seen us go probably, hey, that could be rivaling the 9. Of course, behind him, this wave stretched out on Julian. It's too bad because he really couldn't do a whole lot of solid moves until the very end, which he does there. And even that got stuck up top for a second. So I would see this being a score that he'll keep in his top 2 at the end of this heat.
Sebastian Zietz is about to get himself a solid score. In fact, enough to get himself into the lead here, an 8.37. So that big 3-turn combo from Seabass, well rewarded. Score totals here with these guys still having a little time on the clock to replace some of their lower numbers. Here goes Wilson. Let's see what he can do with this one. Big drawn out first turn. So on his way already, bit of a wobble at the bottom there. Bashes that pocket. Tidy float. Better than a 6.67, Pete.
Didn't have that wow factor to me. It did have the flow. You know, I think that first turn, 7, right?
Throughout the day.
And he finished, right? I mean, look at the size of this wave. You know, that compressed bottom turn. That was a nice turn. You know, again, he had to negotiate the bumps, especially off that bottom turn, and that was kind of a widget. I wouldn't say that's a bad description, but it wasn't as strong as a turn as you would have liked, and a lot of it's because he had that bobble at the bottom turn, and it took a lot of speed away from him.
And there it is, a 7.4, so it is enough to get Julian Wilson into the lead.
Dig rails and finish. I mean, and that's where you're going to see excellent scores. That's what excellent surfing is.
Let's see if Sebastian can get through this one with no mistakes and some big turns. The first move is solid, really burying that board, and now finding some spark as he motors down the line. Still has some speed, climbs up on top of it, just tweaks that tail a little bit. He's trying to better both his counting rides at this stage. He's got to get an 8.41 out of that wave.
It's got to be his best wave yet.
5.5 minutes to go. Julian Wilson now with another opportunity. Wave number 7. What can he do with it? A beautiful cut down to carry some speed in this second move. Finding his flow on this ride, just sliding that tail for a moment and still going. What kind of finish can he get here? Just squeaks in that front side snap, bouncing around in the foam. He will hang on to it, trying to get rid of a 7.4. Just over 3 minutes to go as we see a replay of Wilson's last ride.
Nice medium-sized set wave, which means it's going to stay open all the way through. Won't get that closeout section till way down the line. Bit of a drift there. A lot of solid moves on this wave. And no real errors at all. You know, he had to struggle to finish out this one, you know, trying to better the 7.4. Nice exchange. I mean, this one, first turn here, so raw. Look at, I mean, he almost looked like he was going to go down, but he muscled through it. Just lays into it. That was very similar to what we saw John get huge scores for. And then the finish move, very critical as well, because almost poked the nose, but he knew, put that weight back and kept it above.
Well, these guys are obviously doing a much better job of figuring out the conditions than Mick and Kelly did in the previous heat, dropping big numbers, each of them.
Feels like to me that... What's up? You're looking at me.
I'm just thinking that it's been a really tough heat to judge because there's been really quality surfing, but then a couple of mistakes as well. Julian threw all the risk into his first couple of rides, and as a result, maybe left some opportunity out there and allowed Sebastian to get back in it. But they're going back and having another look at the 8.7 from Sebastian Zietz before dropping this next number for Julian Wilson, because it is a crucial time in the heat, only a minute and 25 seconds to go. And Wilson needs to know pretty soon whether he needs a score. Remember a scenario at Winky a couple of years back where Julian was just hanging to get an update to find out if he needed a number.
This is the 8.37 of Sebastian. You know, and he's just got this kind of raw surfing to him. You know, it's mistake at the end. Those are the two scores from Sebastian Zietz. Back-to-back the last two waves for him.
Needs a 7.7. This number taking some time to roll in. The judges obviously want to get it right. It's a very close heat. Your thoughts, Pete?
I would say that I think that that last wave would be just enough. That's my thinking. You know, comparatively to the 7.4, I feel like that last wave was better. I mean, this is a, you know, a bigger set wave, definitely. You know, but it had that little error which affected that turn and put him late for that maneuver as well. So, you know, but at 7.4. Then you look at the last wave that was ridden by Julian. Smaller set wave, but it was a very solid wave. He packed in a lot of moves. Pretty strong turns on the outside as well.
A really close heat, a very tough one for the judges here. Looking at Julian's last ride, plenty of variation in the mix. Got the finish here. Didn't time it too well on the closeout, but hung onto it and made sure he rode clear of the foam to let the judges know that he finished that one off. Score's starting to roll in.
Wow. There they are.
It is going to be right on the line. It might be enough. It might fall just under. And the number has dropped. A 7.67 and not enough. And Julian Wilson will finish up his campaign during this Australian leg without cracking the finals at any of the first 3 stops.
Yeah, he had a beginning of the season 2 years ago, very similar, where he wasn't able to. He started out okay, but he had a pretty rough go in the early part of that, and he came back.
Such a close heat. Have a look at it. 17.07 to Sebastian Zietz, just 0.03 behind him. Julian Wilson